Well, these are visuals coming in of Prime Minister Narendra Modi along with the French President at the War Cemetery, paying tribute to the fallen heroes, paying tribute to the Indian soldiers who participated and laid down their lives during the World Wars. Remember, earlier the Prime Minister also spoke about and paid tribute to Veer Savarkar. When the Prime Minister arrived in Marseille, he hailed Veer Savarkar's bravery. These are visuals of the Prime Minister Narendra Modi and French President. Together, they paid homage to the fallen heroes, the Indian soldiers who laid down their lives during the World Wars. Let me go across to our senior editor, Srinjoy Chaudhary, joining us on the broadcast. Srinjoy Chaudhary, visuals coming in of the Prime Minister along with the French President at the War Cemetery, paying tribute to the fallen soldiers, to the Indian soldiers who laid down their lives during the World Wars. Srinjoy, can you hear me? Okay, all right. We'll try and connect with Srinjoy again, and we'll also go across to our other reporters. Meanwhile, let's focus on the visuals a bit. Prime Minister Narendra Modi there, along with the French President at the War Cemetery, to honor the Indian soldiers who sacrificed their lives during the World Wars. Let me go across to Rishabh. Rishabh, take us through these visuals.
Well, definitely what we are seeing on our screen is Prime Minister Narendra Modi along with French President Emmanuel Macron in Marseille. Remember, Marseille happens to be a place where Indian soldiers fought in the First World War, one of those first wars that Indian soldiers fought, in the First World War, where there were trenches, where, many of them had left their villages for the first time as well. And in France, when it comes to Europe, French fronts were the places where the Indian soldiers fighting under the flag of Britishers were, lost the maximum of their soldiers. Many of them died, could not even return back home. When it is being said that in Europe, when out of every 10 Indian soldiers, 4 of them died, while at least 2 to 3 came back with one of their body part not in shape because of the bombarding, because of the landmines, and because of the firing as well. For the first time, many of them had seen the automatic weapons. For the first time, they had seen trench warfare. It was for the first time for many of them to fight in such a varied environment. The weather of Europe was also a reason many of them lost their lives. So, but having said that, it is travesty of history that till date, there hasn't been any documentation, a book, or a film, or for that matter even a storytelling for that matter, that have been written on the Indian soldiers who fought the First World War for the Britishers. No one has ever written a book or documented the history from the perspective of the Indian soldiers who fought these wars. Today the Prime Minister is in Marseille and he is at the War Cemetery, where he'll be honoring the fallen heroes who fought the First World War between 1914 and 1918.
Exactly. Those are the visuals that we're getting at the moment. A tribute being paid there by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the French President Emmanuel Macron to the fallen soldiers, the Indian soldiers who laid down their lives, Rishabh, during the World War. And like you were saying earlier, when the Prime Minister arrived at the port city of Marseille, he also hailed Veer Savarkar, his contribution, and thanked the people who helped him escape.
Well, definitely, Prime Minister is in Marseille, and Marseille is very important. When we are seeing Prime Minister in Marseille, why is it important? It is important for the contemporary reasons as well. We have been speaking about the IMEC, the India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor, and while one point of it, the starting point of the corridor would be Mumbai in India, Marseille would be the other end of that very, economic corridor route, and that's the reason there is a consulate also being planned in Marseille now, that will be inaugurated in some time from now, today itself. And once Prime Minister landed there, a tweet also came in that how Veer Savarkar, Veer Damodar Savarkar, was there and he fought, and how the people there made sure that he is not handed over to Britishers. Given that French and English were allies, the Britishers and French were allies, but they ensured that, the people there ensured that Savarkar could escape the custody of French or Britishers as well. And now at the fallen heroes cemetery, the war cemetery in Marseille, where Prime Minister is paying tribute, definitely ensuring the history, making it sure that the history knows what the Indians have done and where they have fought heroically. We have seen a tribute being paid in Haifa earlier, where the Indian soldiers fought the Ottoman Empire in the First World War. In that honoring that, paying a tribute, the Teen Murti circle here in New Delhi has been renamed, rechristened as Haifa Teen Murti, and now in Marseille you see Prime Minister paying tribute. And as we have been talking, and this is something that historians by far has agreed to.
Absolutely.
That while,
Rishabh, stay on with us. Just focusing a little bit on the visuals. The Prime Minister has just written down his thoughts, I believe, on the visitor's diary. Speaking about this cemetery, it holds historical significance for India, as this place served as the base of the Indian troops in France during the First World War between 1914 to 18. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, along with the French President Emmanuel Macron, are paying homage to the Indian soldiers at the cemetery. And just a short while back, we saw the Prime Minister write down his thoughts in the visitor's diary. We are also now joined by Pathikrit Pain on the broadcast. Thank you very much for joining us. We were just sharing with the viewers the significance of this place where the Prime Minister has just paid tributes to the fallen soldiers, the Indian soldiers who laid down their lives during the World War, Mr. Pain.
Well, first and foremost, unlike the British, the French have not forgotten the contribution of Indian Army during the First World War. And we must also acknowledge that during the Second World War as well, the British Indian Army, the Indian component of the British Army also played a very significant role in defeating the Nazi, hegemony in the whole world. So I think it is important that the Prime Minister has made it a point that he would visit this place, he would, pay his homage. And in the recent past, there has been exchange of armed forces where, during I think in the Marseille Day parade a few years back, the Indian contingent did participate. The French also came here probably in the recent past as well. But I think this history has to be told, has to be narrated to the young generation on a regular basis. I'm sure most of the people in India, the young generation, simply have no understanding, no idea the level of contribution the Indians actually had during the First and the Second World War. For example, in the Second World War, there have been 2.5 million Indian soldiers who fought valiantly to create a free world. But unfortunately, neither our historians, and forget about the British historians, nobody actually wrote it down, told it to the coming generations. So I think it's a very, very important, day that the Prime Minister of India has visited that place. And I would request the NCRT to make it a point to inculcate these things into our syllabus so that the young generation can stand with pride the enormous amount of contribution of the Indian soldiers. And we must also acknowledge that our relationship with France is not just in the realm of defense. There is a strategic partnership, and France have always acknowledged this. Even the reality is Indians don't know, but the French have never forgotten the contribution of Indians during the First World War and even in the Second World War. So I think it's a great day. But this respect, paying homage, has to be normalized. It has to be part of our curriculum. Back to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Payne, for joining us on the broadcast and for helping us understand the significance of this place and the event. These are visuals, once again, of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, along with the French President Emmanuel Macron. He's just paid tribute to the Indian soldiers who laid down their lives during the world wars. And like Mr. Payne was pointing out, France hasn't forgotten their supreme sacrifice.